Good morning, everybody. How's everybody doing this morning?
Good morning. Good. How about you?
Great, great. We had literally 1 minute ago, I don't know if you guys all saw Yana on. Yana was our only presenter this morning. She's got two listings coming up and something urgent came up. She said she's okay. Something urgent just came up, got to jump quick. Sorry. So now we have 0. But so is the market, is like that. I'm really following the numbers very closely and seeing that I mean 2 days, it's like everything's up and then it's down and very, very quickly. A lot of this is kind of exciting. Good morning, Amy, and good morning, Kathleen.
Good morning.
I'm so glad you're on early too, Amy. I think you guys all know because I sent it out in the email that Amy Stepkowski is going to be a special guest later today, or earlier than later, I should say. And Amy's with a Step Above Design, so I'm excited to see. She's popped on before because I've invited her, and I'm so glad she's going to be here today.
Thank you.
And we do, like I said, have extra time to talk, which is kind of exciting because usually we kind of are pushing through the listings to get to the fun part, although the listings are fun too. And Kalina, speaking of listings, Kalina just jumped on and she's probably got a couple that she might want to talk about. So when you're on and ready, Kalina, that would be fine as well. But because we're a little bit early and we have a little extra time, Jessie, Jessie's so awesome and she's here often, but usually we're so busy we don't have a lot of time to talk. For those of you that don't know Jessie is with One Credit Source and she does credit repair. So any agents that are working with somebody, and honestly what we're finding oftentimes now, because the interest rate is creeping up a little, and that's not really the biggest reason. The reason is the prices of homes are going up. And so you've got buyers that have been qualified for 300 and now what they're looking at, or what they were looking at 6 months ago, is now 325, 350. Sometimes, and Ida can back me up on this as well, sometimes it's a credit score issue, and sometimes it can be very easily addressed and fixed. Jessie, that's her specialty. She's awesome with things like that, and of course with people that don't qualify at all, which takes a little longer than a little time. But those people that are just you know, and also Ida will tell you, they can get a little bit better credit score oftentimes. I mean, interest rate oftentimes if the credit score is better. So just if you'll give us a little update from your end, Jessie, on what you're seeing, if you're seeing a lot more people struggling right now because of the pandemic and everything else, love to hear from you. And good morning, Elena. Good to see you.
Good morning, everyone.
Charlene's logging in too.
Oh, cool.
Love it. Go ahead, Jessie.
Good morning, everyone. Jessie Nelson here, A1 Credit Source. And yes, we are absolutely seeing a shift. You know, before we started this thing, it was about 43 million people that had less than a $599. But due to the pandemic, the job loss, the health issue, the crisis, it's up to over 73 million now. So a lot of people have been barely surviving on their credit, so that utilization DTI is through the roof. And I think most of us know people look at savings as one of those things that they'll do one day until that day happens and they need it. And then they go, oh my gosh. And so they didn't have a whole lot of savings. So we're seeing a lot of people now needing to restart, even those that were right at the threshold where they could before the 100-point jump on credit qualification. And you're looking at a possible another jump coming because they're targeting 1099s now. And they're trying to make it so that 1099s have to qualify at 780.
Jessie, Can I interrupt you and ask a really important question right now?
Absolutely.
A new question because of what's happened. How about people that got like loan, mortgage forgiveness and things like that? How is that going to affect?
Well, the mortgage forgiveness is good for a certain amount. What we're seeing is a lot of the moratoriums are being rolled back. So whereas before all this, I actually did a live explaining to people, if you can pay your mortgage, go ahead and pay your mortgage, because when that time comes, you're gonna do the whole thing. It's not gonna be, oh, okay, I'll make plans for it. You're do the whole thing. And so it's a lot of people are gonna really be in let's say in a pickle, because they're expecting the government to continue. It's almost like the mindset has changed and they're just waiting for the government to continue with these handouts. And we all know that that's eventually gonna stop. And once that stop, I mean, we're seeing people who have jobs that don't want to go to jobs because they're getting paid more, staying home with unemployment. And that's crazy, because the hiring, we need people, but they can't get people to work. And this is really going to affect all the numbers across the board. We're going to see a major dip, because when they realize it, a lot of employers are actually having to downshift and work from home with those that are wanting to work. And it's really snowballing into a problem.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm.
Yeah.
So if realtors are dealing with somebody, in the past, I was a buyer's agent, as you all know. In the past, this has been very successful for me. If you have somebody that thinks they're going to qualify for X amount and doesn't, and you can contact Jessie and get them with her. I promise you, I can't promise you, but they have always come back to me because they're so happy that I helped them out. And Jessie will watch out for you as well. I mean, she's going to give you an update. She's not going to take them and then call somebody else and say, hey, this person's ready. So yeah.
Yeah, that's so unethical. I don't even, until I started speaking to people and realized that was actually going on, I never would have considered. That is just completely unethical. So you're actually going to be getting kudos from me to your client, because I'm going to be building you up. And then I'm going to be letting you know as well, this is where we're at. And, just reach out to them. I just spoke to them. It's very important that communication keeps going. My husband used to be a realtor, and I saw it more than once where he put everything in the people. And then at the last minute, they decide, oh, my cousin just got her real estate license, I'll buy with them. And they don't realize that loyalty goes and loyalty comes. What you do comes back. And so, making sure that you keep that acquisition that took you so much to get, I make you the rock star because you thought enough of them to send them to me. I'm going to do 3 things concentrated: lower debt to income, higher savings, higher FICO. And I tell them, my job isn't to get them the house. My job is to help them to keep the house. So a lot of people, they just think of, I want the keys, but not realize we have issues afterwards, because when that roof has a hole, it's on you, even if the insurance pays for it. So you have to have that savings. So it's an education process.
I actually am getting goosebumps here. Ida's going to chime in, I know, because that is something that I've always loved about her. She talks to your, when you get a buyer qualified with her, she talks to them about that. They say, can I qualify for more? And she'll say yes. And then she'll look at their bank account and see they hardly have a savings enough to close. If you don't, she's smiling. She knows who I'm talking about here too. If you can't even come up with the money to get the inspection, and your payment's going to be $1,200, $200, whatever a month, what are you thinking? So anyways, I'm going to put you on the spot, Ida, and let you talk about that. But I'd also love for you to address the down payment assistance programs if you can.
Absolutely. Good morning, all.
Good morning.
Yes. Definitely, I'm the kind of person that I do not want to put someone where they cannot afford it, in other words. So I do have that financial one-on-one with them to make sure they understand what the mortgage payment will be. And I honestly, to be very transparent, I even have them paying off debt at times. Shar is very aware of that because I don't want them to lose their house. So if we're putting this from the very beginning, imagine the respect that I'm getting just to treat them like family and telling them, listen, let's pay this off first. This is where you want to be. So like that, you can afford it and you're not losing your house, because look at the epidemic, what it's cost. So I'm very grateful that that happened to me personally. I went through a divorce, and, you know, not to say my personal business, but I don't want other people to go through what I went through. I want them to make sure that if they have one job, and if something happens to them in their personal life with any changes, that they still can afford that home. And of course, we can anticipate what's going to happen in the future, but if I can educate and help my borrowers, I'm there for them. Now, with that said, you know, there's a lot of things that I take into play when I do that role in looking to see where they are with debt ratio. So when they want to do the extra, the down payment assistant right now, they have to be with good credit. So there is no, I have 580 credit score, I have no money, and I can do down payment assistance. It doesn't exist. You still have to have at least $2,500 of your own money, because the down payment assistance is not going to pay for the appraisal. They're not going to pay for the inspections. They're not going to put the earnest money. And a lot of borrowers, they're uneducated and they think it's like buying a car, that they can go to the dealership and without any money, they can just come out with a vehicle. That's not the way that I do business. I honestly, I tell them that example when it comes to shopping for a car, because I've seen the car, you know, cars being financed for $900 a month, what you can pay for a mortgage nowadays. So I give them that one-on-one talk, and I tell them, this is not like buying a vehicle, this is buying a 30-year commitment of your home. So at the end, they're happy and I'm happy. And if they feel like they're not ready, maybe I'm not the mortgage loan officer for them either.
Yeah, I love all that, everything you're saying. One particular person that I don't know, so I'm talking about, the appraisal money had to be collected, and they're like, $500. I don't have $500. And I'm thinking to myself, you don't have $500. I mean, what the heck? And then they waited, and then the next time it was like inspection. I'm not going to get an inspection. I don't have the money. I'm like, I'm not selling you a house unless you get the inspection. I'm sorry. So anyways, needless to say, they're renting again.
Yeah, sure. We had that one-on-one talk and show reality, and guess what happened?
Yeah,
I'm not now. Maybe
they're renting again. That's what happened. So
correct.
anyways, I thank you so much again, guys. This is a networking platform as much as it is a place to pitch properties, and it's a good thing because none of us have properties to pitch. So, and that being said, there will be some coming down, and I say we don't have properties to pitch. A lot of you guys had properties to pitch, and before pitch, they were already under contract. Woo-hoo! Kalina's got a couple that, and one of them we've had for a while. That one property, it was a lot. She's had for quite a while, and it's finally got a contract. And Kalina, you do have a couple pocket listings. You want to just let us know what you got?
Okay, so I have a pocket listing coming in on Monday in Valrico. It's a 3-bedroom, 2-bath, 2-car garage, super clean. The clients have already moved out. They've just been doing the extra maintenance stuff to prepare to put it on the market. So I'm looking forward to doing that. I also will be having one in Temple Terrace coming up next Thursday. So I don't know exactly when I'm going to get my pictures done and all of that good stuff, but it's good to have some more stuff to put on the market.
Right. And what is the price range of that? Because it's always nice to know if we've got anybody's got first home buyers or somebody in a particular price range. Make sure you let Kalina know so she can give you a heads up and you can jump on it. Go ahead.
They're going to be in the 270 to 275 range.
Oh, there you go. There you go. We all need that. Adam, I'm so happy to see you this morning. We missed you last week. Everything good?
We are good. I missed me last week. Was not feeling well.
Oh, I'm so sorry. I'm sorry. Did you get your vaccine yet?
No, have not.
Do you have any pocket listings or anything you need to talk about before we have a little extra time because we're not doing the pitches this morning?
Nope, the townhouse in Wesley Chapel, it's going to be 1,700 square feet. 1,700? I think it's 1,700 square feet without looking at it. But I meet with those folks next week. It's been a long time coming, but they are, it's in the Stagecoach neighborhood off of Old 54.
Awesome. And what price range?
190.
Awesome. We love that price range. That's investors and everything. Elena's got a couple coming up, I believe as well. You want to talk about those? And good morning. Good morning,
Good morning,
Charlene.
everyone.
Good morning.
I'm going to pre-apologize. My internet's been kind of weird, so I may glitch.
Okay.
But in just about 2 weeks, I will have a 3-2 pool home in Brandon, border Valrico. It's on just under an acre, zoned agricultural retail. Because it has frontage to a main road, it can definitely be something down the line. Whoever the new buyer is can zone it for commercial. We're going to be in the mid upper 4s.
Okay, great. Great.
That's it for now. I have an appointment coming this weekend. It'll probably be in the Del Sol. I forget the Villa Del Sol, something Del Sol in Waimama. That will be potentially coming in a few more weeks, but low 3s on that one. It's a 55 and up community.
Okay.
Charlene potentially has something coming up, probably about a month or two. They're doing some fixes on it, but that's in the Ruskin, right? Ruskin area. It's a 4-2 low 2s, low to
Good.
mid 2. There's new construction, so we're going to price it to be in competition with that new construction.
And the open house Saturday.
And there's an open house Saturday for a 2-2 pool home in North Valrico. I don't have that address yet. It's going live tomorrow. It's my broker's listing, but Charlene's doing the open house with Aida.
Awesome. And send that to me so we can put it on the group page.
301 Silver Hill Drive. It's a 2-2, can easily be made into a 3-2 pool home. I want to say price points like $245, $250. We know how rare a pool home in Valrico, in anything under 300 with a pool anywhere is kind of crazy. So it should be busy. And all right,
Yeah.
that's all I got right now.
Great. That's pretty good. That's a pretty full plate there. And I know you've posted before on that group page. Guys, if you're not, I think everybody here is. If you're not on the TampaBayPitch.com Facebook group page, that is a realtor only group page. And excuse me, it's open to you once you get on to post anything real estate related that you want to. You don't have to like send it to me and I do it. You can post on that page, but I will take it from that page. I'll post it on all the other social media. So, please do that, especially things like open houses. It's an excellent way to get it out there to all of us. And speaking of that, remember too, that we started this out having a buyer need portion as well. But then for a while there, we had so many listings, we kind of gave up on the buyer needs. If you have a buyer, like I know Jim has right now, we have a buyer that wants something in the Lutz, Forest Hills, Carrollwood area under 280. Really wants, everybody does right now, I think, a mother-in-law's quarters of some sort. It doesn't have to be a separate building. But we're seeing that more and more for a couple of reasons. Either people need offices, home offices, or their elderly parents have moved in, or they have kids that have bounced back. The pandemic has opened up so many new needs. And that's one of the reasons I think we got so busy. I think a lot of people start working at home. They don't have to live in certain areas anymore. I think that's been really good for Valrico and River Hills because there are better buys there for the younger first home buyers. And if they're not having to make commutes and they can work at home now, they can, that really opened up where they get to search. But as you guys all know that work with buyers, it's a lot harder right now because you're going to show a whole lot more houses and you're going to write a whole lot more offers. I was talking to somebody the other day that was on there. They were writing their 5th offer for a buyer, and they just couldn't do it. And especially because it was an FHA. We talked about that last week. It's so sad that the FHA buyer is kind of going on the bottom of the heap now that all these other things are happening and all these multiple offers are happening. So what do you do? So we are almost time for this lovely lady, Amy, to start her presentation. But is there anything anybody else has to add or any questions anyone has to throw out there? I had asked if anybody had any suggestions for the 5th Thursday, because we very seldom have 5 pitches. And I had a suggestion to get appraiser on, and I think that's a great suggestion. I'm actually toying with the idea of getting a few appraisers, and most of them actually are retired appraisers, but people that maybe do a panel and talk about what's happening right now. So if you guys have any thoughts on that or questions that you have that you want me to put out there, I'm happy to do that. I think it's an excellent idea. I used to know appraisers. I think all of us that have been in the business many years used to know appraisers. We used to be able to believe it or not, pick our own appraisers and tell them what the price was and have them appraise it for that price. So it doesn't work like that anymore. So now that they're all in a pool, most of us don't personally know appraisers. So that being said, anybody? No questions? So we're off. I've let Amy, I've gone ahead and made you co-host because I know you want to share some screens, and welcome.
Thank you. I appreciate you guys having me again. It was fun to jump on before, just as an attendee. And you guys share a lot of really good information. I mean, that's not always the case in these pitches, to be honest. So I love this one. Good job, Char.
Thank you.
So I'm Amy Stepkoski. My business is A Step Above Designs. I'm a home stager and redesigner. And believe it or not, I still believe staging is important, even in this hot market. And I want to share a little bit about why I think that today. So I got into this because my husband and I moved 8 times in the first 12 years of our marriage with his job. He was in pharma. So he was always relocating, and it was on me to get the house ready. And I've always had a passion for design anyways. And I knew I needed every penny out of our house every time. And we always were under contract quickly because I knew exactly what I needed to do to prepare my home for those pictures, for showings. And, that's always important. You wouldn't show up to a job interview that even if you knew you had it in the bag in, sloppy clothes. I mean, every time you would dress your best. I think every home should be dressed its best too, if we're using that analogy. So I specialize in occupied homes, and a lot of people don't associate staging with occupied homes, but I'm going to tell you a little bit about how I do that today. And I've found I'm really involved in my local trade association, it's RESA, Real Estate Staging Association. And so I've met some great stagers in the Tampa Bay area through that. And I found one near me that we work really well together. We just approach our businesses the same way. Her name's Sophie with Stage and Prosper, and she specializes in vacant properties. So it's just the perfect partnership. We have our own companies, but we work together a lot, and we refer things back and forth because we really like to stick to our specialties. So I'm going to go ahead and share my screen and show you a little bit about what I'm talking about. So, and I have it in PDF form, which is kind of annoying, but it's just what it is. So this is me and Sophie. We would love to be your stager and just part of your team that you present to your sellers. I really believe that your brand, I mean, competing against what last number I heard in the Tampa Bay area, there are 23,000 agents. So you've got to find a way to stand out and differentiate yourself. And the agent partners that I work with, this is just part of their brand. This is what they provide for their sellers, no matter what, hot or cold market, because they really see the value in telling their, and when they're in a listing appointment, you know, saying, listen, I'm sending my stager over. She's going to spend a couple hours with you and help you showcase this property so that you get every penny. And it creates a buzz about you as an agent. So it's a great way to differentiate yourself, building a team. They know that they've got a team working for them as sellers. And then that allows you to spend the time doing what you do best, which is the marketing and the negotiating. And, you know, it's like being a project manager from what I can see as an agent. You're just working with a lot of different people, a lot of different service providers trying to make this deal happen. So, and then I go in and I can play the bad cop, although I'm actually a really nice bad cop. But I have those conversations that are sometimes tough. You know, you get to talk about price, you get to talk about, you know, negotiating, and just let me have the conversation about the heavy drapes that need to come down that have been there since 1985, or, you know, the furniture that we need to maybe add some updated accessories or, you know, pillows just to elevate the look a little bit. I walk into a lot of homes that people are downsizing. They've raised their families there. Their couch is like 20 years old, but I can actually work with that, believe it or not. And always keeping in mind those photos and what I can do to use what they have and make the most of it. Because it's all about just ROI. I mean, I think about that in every job. And also leveraging your time. I mean, I had an agent recently that said, Amy, I'm so glad you were over there with those clients the other day because I've had no time to spend with them, but I know that they're taken care of. So that's time and your extra 2 hours of time, which, you know, can be gold. So when I go there for an occupied consultation, I leave them with a full report. I call it my design for results. And because that's exactly what we're doing. We're talking about furniture arrangement. We're talking about lighting, maybe some upgrades to lighting that can enhance the feel of the entire room and home. When they walk in the front door and see outdated fixtures, they immediately think, this whole place needs, you know, it's obviously not been updated. So all of these little things I talk to your sellers about so that they understand the reasoning behind the recommendations I make based on marketing photos, based on design principles, based on what we know buyers are looking for in that area. And so the more that they understand the why, it creates buy-in. And that's the thing is sellers are following these recommendations that I make. Because they understand that it's not a judgment. It's not about taste. It's not about whether I like, you know, the way that they've styled their home. It's about appealing to those buyers and creating the best look for those marketing pictures. So we know that people are getting multiple offers right now. That's not a problem, but it's just critical for people that are shopping online. We've had a lot of houses sell, you know, buyers haven't even walked into the home because they're buying from New York, New Jersey, you know, they're coming down to Florida where we're like living it up. And so they're buying properties without even stepping foot into the front door. And those pictures have to be great for that to happen. So let's see. All right, so I start with a discovery call. I spend and just get a little general information, just, you know, start to build kind of that rapport with your seller, and then schedule the time for me to come do the consultation. It's up to 2 hours. I leave them with the the report that I'm talking about. We take notes on that report specific to their home. Plus there's a ton of just general information on there that applies to each area of the home. And then I sit down at the end. They might feel a little overwhelmed at the end because they've, feel like, wow, I've got so much to do. But I'll sit down with them and I'll write out a top 10 priority list so that they have a place to start. And it just really kind of brings them down to realize, all right, I've got a plan, we can make this happen. And I'll snap a picture of that top 10 priority list and send it to my agent so that you're in the loop, what we've talked about. And I'm not going in there just to upsell more services. If I come into a space where, I really think they're going to benefit just from updated accessories that I could bring in there for the pictures or even for showings too, then I'll offer that service, but I'm not going to push that. I want to give them as much value as I can in those 2 hours. And I don't want them to feel like, oh, great, my agent got this girl in here and she just wants to upsell me on, getting all my furniture out of here and bringing in all new. It's going to cost me thousands of dollars. That's not the point at all. The point is to use what they have as much as I can and give them every bit of value I possibly can in those couple hours. So here's just a little example of this. This is not a magnificent master bedroom, but believe it or not, this is a master bedroom on the water in Dunedin on the causeway. I mean, to the left, there's a slider and you just see ocean. And looking at that bottom before picture, I mean, would you even imagine that it's that type of property? So this was an older couple, minimalist, obviously. And the agent hired me to come in and bring in some accessories just to give it a little wow. And I mean, how much better does that look for listing photos and for the experience when buyers come to the property? So this is a home I did just a couple of weeks ago, $800,000 up in Champions Club. The bottom is obviously the before picture. They had 4 young children. They were in the trenches with young kids, just focused on their family, not focused. The couple wasn't even really interested in decor. Just, they were fine with the way that they were living, but, this is not going to show well for someone shopping in the $800,000 price range. So the picture that is over the buffet, I found that actually in a bathroom in their house and brought it out here because this is a much more important room to showcase, right? And then brought in the accessories for the table, and it just makes such a difference in those listing photos. And they were listed on a Thursday and had a full price offer on Friday. And the buyer even said, if you get another offer, just add, $20,000 to that. And that's what I want that house, because they'd been searching. We all know there's not much inventory. They had been searching and this hit the market and they were like, that's our house. So
did you have that painted as well, or is that just showing up gold?
That's lighting. Yeah, that's lighting. And my before picture was with my phone. The after picture was from the listing, but
beautiful though. Absolutely beautiful.
Yeah, I was so excited. And the thing is, those sellers were fantastic. They just said, you tell us what to do and we'll do it. I mean, how much do we all love to hear that?
Yeah.
And they did everything, and it was amazing, the transformation throughout the home and outside, like brought the flowers in and everything. So, and that's the point, is just letting them know that we're partnering with them. I'm not here to judge you and tell you that, you need to, I'm not judging your house or anything. I'm here to help you make more money, and partnering with your agent to do that. So this was a collaboration with Sophie because we did use the furniture that they had. That sofa you see on the bottom, we rearranged, took out some of their decor, but used their sofa. And then Sophie I had her bring in those chairs and that coffee table. This was a little a little, $450,000 bungalow in Dunedin, how everything's just crazy on the market over there. But, and this was under contract the very next day. And then the neighbor said, hey, I'm about to sell too. You guys come over here. And so we staged theirs because they saw it's worth the investment and here we just brought in a few pieces of furniture because we did have some things that we could use, and it just really elevates the look. And this was a family from New York that bought it without even stepping foot in the house. So this was a vacant property that we staged. And the thing about vacants is I think people feel like it's going to look larger if you don't have furniture in the room, but it's actually the opposite.
Yep.
And it feels smaller. They can't get a grasp for what's going to fit in that space. And also, as soon as you walk into a vacant property, your eye goes straight to any flaws. And we all know that there are flaws in every property. We're not covering up anything with staging, but every house has flaws, but you don't want the buyers just to immediately their eye go to that. And the other thing I like about this picture is, you might walk in to that vacant room and say, wow, that is pretty dated looking, with that stone wall. Just that type of stone is, a little dated. But the way that we staged it, we really embrace that because we're not going to change that. We embrace it, and I think it looks great. I mean, it really, to me, makes me love that wall when I look at it now. And so that's what we try to do is work with what they have there. And, if we can show buyers how they can actually enjoy even something that they maybe wouldn't have thought of, maybe they would have turned away from at one point, that's a win. So here's another vacant room that the investor changed the floor, they updated the flooring, and then some paint and staging. I mean, look at the difference. It really not a whole lot of work that was required, but if a buyer had just walked into that vacant property, they would have really probably turned around and walked out. And then, like I'd mentioned, they feel smaller when they're vacant. I mean, look at this. You wouldn't look at that small bedroom and think that you could fit a queen size bed with end tables and a chair in the room. So show that to buyers because they just can't visualize things. I mean, only a very small percentage of people can really visualize what they can do with a space. And this is definitely going to affect offers that you receive. It's not just about getting an offer. I mean, a lot of homes are getting an offer, in the first weekend they hit the market, but are they getting the best offer? I mean, this would be a low ball, or the asking price would have to be lower, I would imagine, if you're not going to really excite buyers and show off the space the way that you can with staging. So there we go. I'll stop the share. And if you guys have any questions, I'd be happy to answer them. I'd love to partner with you guys as you get out there and try to win those listings. It's a great way to win a listing too. To say, hey, by the way, I provide a
Thank you so
stager.
much. Those are excellent pictures, by the way. There are
Thank you.
several notes that I made here because as you were going through it, when you first started, you talked about how many people, and I bet there's not a person on here that hasn't had buyers in other states, in lots of up north, thinking about Florida living. And one of the things you take from that is the way you brought that into the pictures. If they're looking at pictures and they're not feeling the Florida, then they don't even want to look at those houses. And you did all of them, but particularly on the first one and the last one, you brought even the stone wall, which looked very up north of Colorado or somewhere else. You even made that one look a little beachy. I loved it. And speaking again from a realtor standpoint, because I was a realtor for 25 years, you have to be so touchy, or you just have to be so careful when you're trying to get a listing, and you're talking to them about everything. Like you said, good cop, bad cop.
Mhm.
You don't want to, because I remember once saying, we have to get rid of the clutter. And then I caught myself because the look on the seller's face, because
Oh,
they did
right.
not consider their house cluttered. And,
Right. And I
that's
don't
not
even
really what
use
I
that
meant.
word.
Yeah,
I know.
you
It's,
can't use it.
I think about, I've really been careful and I'm very strategic in the words I use. I never say the C word. So I'll say, let's talk about what we should pre-pack and how we can edit this space, because I want people to notice like your beautiful fireplace or this view. You know, I'll focus on the features of the property where the value really lies, right? And because they're not buying their furnishings usually. And so we want buyers, and this is the type of conversation I'd have. I want buyers to notice this gorgeous fireplace. So let's just pre-pack all this little bird collection you have over here on the shelves, or you know what I mean?
And that's why you have to be careful. You never know what you're going to point out that's going to be like, to them, their prized possession, the most beautiful thing they've ever seen. Sometimes you walk in and they've got a picture that's like, holy mackerel, what is that? And it's so much better when you get somebody in there. And actually, in working with what they have too, oftentimes what I find is I go in and they've picked a color that's, I don't even know where they came up with that color, but to be able to work that into something that again, that's not the only thing you see when you walk into the room is that color, is really, really, you really have such a good eye for things like that. Another thing is the odd shaped room. I don't know how many times I've even myself have looked at a house and go, where did they put the furniture in this room? And oftentimes people are moving with a sectional or this or that. That one room that you did, I never would have thought to put 2 extra chairs in there with that little bit of a sectional, because I thought I would have thought it would make it more crowded, but it didn't. It made it look like, wow, this is really a big room. But particularly when you have a lot of windows and no wall space, I think you have to stage a room like that. You have to. You don't want somebody walking in and going, I don't know what I'm going to do with this room, and then Xing that house off of their list. And the other, and I know that everybody's going to have questions about fees, and I'm sure that you can send us a kind of a price sheet. That's another thing that I think often with a seller that you come into, you talk about a stager and they go, oh, no, I've got lots of furniture, I need this. They don't understand that you're working with what they have, and that there are different fees for different services. So now I'm going to open it up because I know everybody else has questions, but I made some notes. I loved the before and after pictures. And again, I think we're all surprised that they weren't, it wasn't like you took out a whole room of furniture and put in all designer furniture. It was really nice that you worked in what they had with the pieces that you had as well. Anybody else have
I have some questions, if I may.
Okay.
Absolutely.
Okay, this is so sensitive. How do you respectfully approach prayer altars or designated areas? You know, my approach is I just try to help them with depersonalization and just trying to appeal to the most amount of buyers, no matter what. And yet, you know, for a lot of sellers, that's just a vital part of their house. What's your experience? What are your thoughts on handling that sensitive topic?
So I will tell them that my goal is for their home to appeal to the broadest number of buyers as possible. And I'll say, you know, anything that shows any indication of what your religious or political beliefs are, I just say, let's just go ahead and pack that up. You're going to be packing anyways. And at least when you get that offer quickly, you're not going to panic because you've packed up the things that we've talked about today, you know? And so I kind of share it like that. And that happens, a good bit. And particularly like the religious things. And I mean, I'll say, hey, I'm a Jesus lover, but every house that I've sold, you know, I pack things away because you just never know where somebody is. And you don't want that to even be a question. So let's just pack it up and just remove that question, because when a buyer walks in that front door, they're immediately looking for, if their first impression is not great, then they're trying to find more things to kind of justify that first impression. It's called confirmation bias. So don't give them more to add to that list. And that's the way I approach that.
I used to tell my buyers as well, I mean, my sellers as well, they want to picture themselves in the home they're looking at. And if you have family pictures all over the place, they're picturing your family in that home. They're not picturing themselves. So you want to just take that out of the equation and give them, you don't want a completely clean slate. You want it to be warm and welcoming, but you want to take that out of the equation.
You know, and I think it's a vital step also for helping the sellers detach from the house and starting to pull out their memories and focus on the next step. So thank you for that. Another question I had is, I think new linen, fresh linen makes such a difference, right? Bathrooms, kitchen. How have in your experience, how much do sellers typically, what are they open to spending? Because I think that Target has great, you know, colors and selections and products and things like that. And yet when they think about spending above and beyond outside of, you know, because whatever they pick out should be fine. It's just fresh and updated. And
Right.
what is a budget maybe that you've seen outside of what you personally are doing with your different packages?
So well, as far as the towels, a lot of, you know, I'll ask them first because I won't leave soft linens there that are mine. I'll bring them for photos. I'm happy to do that. And then I'll be there when the photographer's there, and then I'll just pack them up to take out with me. But I'll say, you know, if you would enjoy having nice fresh linens for your new home, I usually recommend bright white towels for the bathrooms. And it just gives a nice clean feeling and a fresh kind of spa look. And if they don't want to, then I'll say, well, I have some. If you're interested for the pictures, just let me know, but no pressure, you know. And so as far as pricing for me, though, I mean, I'll just give you a recent example. My consultation is $275, and that's for the 2 hours. And I leave, you know, it's about a 10-page report that's got the general information on it. And then we write in information, you know, specific to their home, and then the top 10 list. So that's $275. And then like the Champions Club home that I just showed you, they wanted me to bring back, you know, leave those accessories, you know, and there were some kind of throughout the house, not too many, but probably sprinkled in every room a little bit that I brought in. And I believe I invoiced them, it was close to $600 for the time and for the accessories for 60 days. It's, you know, we want to get through like all the contingencies and everything, but it was maybe just under $600, and that's what, you know, they were more than happy to pay that. But that was time and accessories, because I came back and hung this grouping of pictures. I found all these pictures in one of their storage areas, and we made this great grouping on this big wall that they had nothing on in the family room. And so does that answer your question? Okay.
Absolutely. I had another question and it went away. Did I write it down? I did not. Yeah, that was my question as well. And that seems very reasonable for the pictures that I saw, and and for getting another $20,000 for the house after you've done it.
Right. Yeah.
You know, this is the kind of stuff that you got to weigh out there, and what a difference. A couple of those rooms were just they were not good looking rooms at all. You did a very, very, very good job with that. I did have a question that I thought was a pretty good question, but I don't know where I put it. So anybody else have any questions about for Amy at this time?
I had a question, and it was your service area. Would you travel? If so, how far? What are your borders?
Yeah, so actually, thank you for asking that because I didn't mention this. So I travel anywhere in Pinellas, Hillsborough. I've
Pasco.
done some South Pasco, yes. But I also had, Angie Haddon, Char.
Yeah, of course.
Um,
That's who recommended you. I couldn't remember.
Yes,
Yes.
yeah. So I just did a remote consultation for her, for someone, I can't even remember where she was, but she was about an hour and a half away. So I can do them remotely for people that are, a couple hours away. And it's been very effective. I started doing that last year when COVID hit, and it was like, oh my gosh, I can't go in anybody's house. What am I going to do? So what I do is send them a Dropbox link, and I'll tell the seller exactly how to take the pictures. I want a certain number of pictures of each room, all that information. And then they'll take the photos, drop them in the Dropbox, and then we'll schedule a time to FaceTime together or Zoom, whatever's easy for them on their phone. And so I've had a chance to review their photos, and then we get on Zoom together and spend about an hour and a half. And I'm, they're walking me through their space, and I'm taking notes, and then I'll create the report to send out to them and their agent afterwards. So really, there are no boundaries for that consultation. And to be honest, I was surprised how effective it was. I thought, wow,
That's gotta be tough. It's gotta be tough.
It's more work for me, I would say, because it's a lot more with the report and everything that I'm sending out, because typically I just get all that done in person and we're done when I walk out the door. But anyways, yes, I travel to kind of the Tri-County area pretty regularly, and I do have Sophie, the other stager that I had on that presentation, she and I made a short 2-minute video together that I have on YouTube. It's just kind of talking about the benefits of staging. And I made that because I had some agents that said, I want my sellers to really appreciate the value I'm bringing to them. And the ones that they want to encourage to stage if they have a vacant property, they said, can you sell it? Because the agent didn't feel comfortable trying to sell this service to their clients. So we have a short video that I'd be happy to send out.
Please do.
That some
Please do.
people share.
Send it to me, and I will attach it to I do a recap afterwards. I believe
Okay.
you got my recap before, and I will
Sure.
attach it. I love that idea. Love that
Yeah.
idea.
Okay. Well,
And
thank you guys.
Great. This was so enjoyable. Thank you. And thank Angie. I was going through my notes, trying to remember, because you and I have been talking for a couple months now. I had the first time we spoke, I had a full schedule already. And that might have been actually February, and then March filled up. So I'm so glad I got you on in April. And speaking of
too.
April, happy, I was going to play an April Fool's joke, but I couldn't think of one that was funny and not. I just have a story about the worst one ever, and I'll tell you about it another time. But what I do want to tell you about is Lisette. If you've seen her new headshot, her new real estate headshot, she's stunning anyway. So they had a good person to work with, but it's an absolutely beautiful picture. And I asked her who the photographer was, and this was a couple months ago. And I have him on next Thursday. It's Rich Visuals, Rick Tostado, I believe is his name. And he's going to be on next Thursday. And this is a photographer that'll do headshots. He'll do team pictures. He'll do event pictures. He will also do your residential, your listing pictures as well. I haven't seen any of those. I haven't researched that yet, but I have seen some of the pictures that he's taken. She did a black and white, Lisette did, go on her Facebook or her, I think it's her Facebook picture. I absolutely love it. She looks like Anne Margaret, a lot of years ago, but it's a beautiful picture. Again, beautiful subject. So it was a little easier, but he did a good job. He'll be on next Thursday. And then we will have, again, our third Thursday with Grace Smith, Gitar. Our fourth one will be with Barbara Brown. So that'll be and if you have any ideas, Kathleen always has some good ideas for a legal one. I think last week, actually, we're going to continue because last week we did escalation clause, and we were going to do the kick out clause as well, or escalation offer. And we had no time. It was such a great conversation. So we're going to do kick out clause. And I know you guys are all going to want to hear it because it seems like every week we have more and more of these type offers and contracts and things like that. So stay tuned for that. We do have 5 more minutes. I can let you guys go early, or if anybody has any questions, let me make sure I had no more notes. We're going to get the YouTube video from Amy. I'll attach that. Elena has an open house coming up. Lori just posted something, and I forget, I think it was a buyer need something on the group page. So please, please, please go on the group page. Lisette has a great thing coming up tomorrow, happy hour I can't wait for. And everything's going great at the office. Do you have anything to say, Alex?
No, awesome presentation, Amy. I think that's really
you.
amazing that you can do something like that remotely. But this is what I love about Pitch, is that we have different vendors come on and offer their services. And it's just a really, really great weekly thing that we do. So thank you everyone for joining.
Yeah, thank you so much. And again, I recorded it. So if you missed part of it or you want to watch it in the recording, you've got that information. And again, I will put out any listings that you have. You didn't have one to present this week, that's okay. If it comes out and when yours become available, Elena, and of course, Kalina as well, send them to me and I'll send them out right away and also post them on the group page. And like I said, I'll repost it. If you're not a member, all you have to do is reach out to Charlene Turkinech. I didn't tell Charlene, that's my name too. It's actually, my Facebook name is Char Turkinech. Reach out to me. You have to friend request me first, and then I'll send you a private invitation because it is a private group. Thank you so much, everybody. Have a great rest of your week and see you soon.
Great job, Char. Thank you.
Thanks. Bye.